Did you know you need to eat 1,200 calories to lose fat? But you also need to eat more to lose weight. But also don't eat carbs because those will make you fat. But also you need to fast every morning unless that also kills your gains? Yeah, it's overwhelming. I've heard all of these things too. Welcome to breaking down common fitness myths and giving you the actual effing truth. Starting with number 1, you need to eat 1,200 calories a day to lose fat. Okay, let's talk about this nonsense. If I had $1 for every single time somebody told me they were eating 1,200 calories and not seeing results, I'd be retired on the beach somewhere. So calories equal energy. Your body is not out here trying to sabotage you. It just runs on fuel, just like your car, except instead of gas, you need food. So 1,200 calories, like that's what a toddler eats. You're a grown adult with responsibilities, a job, maybe kids, and I assume the desire to not feel like a zombie every single day. So let's start here. We need to start with maintenance calories. What are maintenance calories? Your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. They're the calories you burn when your body is just chilling, moving around. When you're digesting food, talking with your hands, walking around Target for an hour and a half when you just need a toothpaste. Guilty. A calorie deficit is when you're eating less than your maintenance. We're talking 300 to 500 calories under maintenance, not slashing your intake in half and wondering why you're exhausted and crying and craving every carbohydrate in sight. Guilty. Calorie surplus, that is eating more than your maintenance to gain weight, either fat or muscle, depending on your goal. But most women's maintenance calories are somewhere between 18 to 2,300 calories, depending on activity. So here's how to figure this out without the BS. Find your maintenance calories. Bodybuilding.com has a great calculator on their website, but be honest about your activity level, babe. If you're sitting at a desk all day, getting 5,000 calories in and 3 30-minute workouts every single week, you're slightly active, okay? Remember though, these are just math equations. They might be off slightly, they could be wrong a little, so it's always a good idea to compare that number to how many calories you're already eating and whether or not you're losing weight. So just keep in mind, you got to use some critical thinking here too. But really the only way to know for sure is to actually test it. For fat loss, 300 to 500 calories less than your maintenance will get you where you want to go. If your maintenance is 12,000 calories and you eat 1,500 calories, 500 calorie deficit, you'll lose about a pound a week. Anything lower than that, you're setting yourself up for bad metabolism, bad mood. Again, use your critical thinking here, babe. Like, if 1,500 calories is a huge jump, then do 1,700, weigh yourself daily for a few weeks and see if you're actually losing weight and adjust from there. Make sure you're also getting enough protein, and we'll touch on exactly how much a little later in this video, but this is the second line of importance after your calories. You also need to stop panicking about eating more. Your body needs fuel to burn fat. If you're constantly exhausted, starving, or fantasizing about bread, you are under eating. And what happens when you eat too little? I'm so glad you asked. When you are not eating enough, you're actually sabotaging your own progress. Your body needs fuel to function, to recover, to build muscle. So dropping your calories below that might lead to some scale weight loss at first, but it's likely coming from muscle loss, water weight, or your stored energy. And here's why. When you eat in a calorie deficit for a long time, especially a low one, your body adapts by becoming more efficient at using energy, aka you're burning fewer calories at rest. You move less subconsciously. Maybe you're not talking with your hands like my Italian self does constantly. Your body is prioritizing survival, not fat loss. Even though you're technically still burning fat in that deficit, it will be at a slower rate because your body's conserving energy. It's not refusing to burn fat, it's just adapting to your lower intake. So without enough calories, especially protein, your body breaks down muscle for energy. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest. Less muscle equals slower metabolism. We don't want that. You'll also, if you eat too little, get crazy cravings. Ghrelin increases, which is your hunger hormone, and leptin decreases, which makes you feel way more likely to overeat. And then you'll likely spiral, think you're ruining your diet, and you'll eat even more calories than you did before, and the cycle continues. So good luck lifting heavy weights when you have zero energy, by the way. Not eating enough also can disrupt your menstrual cycle. It can increase cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and it can make it way harder to lose fat with that. So low sex drive, poor sleep, mood swings, you're basically running on vibes and caffeine, snapping at everybody, and getting in the mood feels about as enticing as a root canal, okay? Congrats, you're now the human version of the do not disturb sign. Bottom line, please eat, stop torturing yourself with those starvation diets. Find your maintenance calories, take a moderate deficit, eat enough protein, and train properly. That's it. There's no hack to your metabolism. You just need to stop treating your body like it's an iPhone on 2% battery with a full storage and expecting it to function well. Okay? Number 2, lifting weights makes you bulky. Oh yeah, Arnold just walked into the gym and did a few reps without thinking, had no plan, wasn't eating enough, and just got absolutely yacked. Yacked? Yoked and jacked. Yacked. Reality check. It takes years of intentional lifting and being in a calorie surplus with a program. You're not going to wake up looking like the Hulk just because you did 4 pound or anything heavier than 4 pounds like you do in Pilates class. Okay, I get it. You want to look toned, but you have to understand what being toned is. It's not some mystical thing. It's building muscle and dropping the fat that's hiding it so you can see all of the shape that you've built. So here's what to do instead. To build muscle, strength train 3 to 5 times per week. Actually, write this down. 3 to 5 times per week. Focus on hitting each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week with a total of 12 to 20 sets for larger muscles like legs, chest, back, and 8 to 12 sets for smaller muscles like your arms and shoulders. You want to focus on progressive overload, lifting heavier weights, doing more reps or slower tempo every single week. Use a rep range of 6 to 12 reps per set and make sure you're close to failure. One more time for the people in the back. Close to failure, okay? I teach my clients to stay somewhere between 1 to 3 reps away from failure every set, depending on where they're at in their program phase. But failing every single week is not doing what you think it is. It can actually lead to burnout and possibly injury. And not getting close enough to failure is not going to stimulate the muscles enough for them to grow. So even though most women have higher body fat percentages around the hips, thighs, and belly, it's totally normal. But when you're trying to build muscle in your upper body, like shoulders and arms, you see that muscle start forming so much faster because there's just usually less body fat up there. So they're probably going to look more defined faster. If you really want to avoid the bulkiness in your upper body, here's a little trick. This is what I do with my girls. Train in a higher rep range, 12 to 15 reps for upper body. This will help promote muscle endurance and tone without adding too much size. And focus on compound movements like push-ups, pull-ups, but only 1 to 2 times per week. These movements will give you strength and tone, but won't make you grow large muscles in the upper body or make the muscles larger. You'll look lean, you'll look strong without adding too much size, okay? Here's the reality though. You have to remember that muscles are your curves. If you really want to shape your body, you have to be lifting weights. You need muscle to look toned, and without it, all the fat loss that you do is just going to leave you with a body that's smaller, not necessarily toned, aka skinny fat. So lifting can help make you tighter, more defined, and that's what most of you want. So it's not about losing weight. It's about losing fat and building muscle to be lean and shapely, okay? Number 3, you can't eat carbs and lose fat. Here's why keto is stupid. Ketosis is when your body shifts to burning fat for fuel instead of carbs. And people tend to lose weight quickly at first because they're cutting out an entire macronutrient group, protein, carbs, fats, okay? Carbs, when they're out of the picture, I mean, you're just consuming less calories overall, you're retaining less water, which will lead to fast results. But after about 3 months of this ketosis, the fun is over. Your brain loves carbs, and without them, you're literally a walking sack of potatoes. Your brain needs 100 grams of carbs per day just to function, let alone fuel your workouts. And guess what? You're gonna feel like hot garbage. So instead of low carb, think slow carb. When you eat simple carbs like refined sugars and white bread, your blood sugar spikes and crashes and it poops on your energy and your fat loss. Complex carbs like whole grains, sweet potatoes, vegetables, they're releasing energy slower. They'll keep your blood sugar steady and help you burn fat more effectively. And let's not forget that fruits and vegetables are also carbohydrates. So if you believe that blueberries are poison, you do you, but I cannot help you, okay? So here's a few mistakes I see a lot of the time. With carbs, you're eating too many processed carbs, chips, crackers. Switch to whole foods like brown rice, quinoa, oats, vegetables. Another mistake is sugary drinks. Stop that. Water, tea or a smoothie with protein in it. Another mistake is just cutting them out altogether, which you please just get slow, steady carbs from like lentils, beans, or potatoes. Something, please. An easy tip that I teach my clients too is to not leave your carbs naked. So pair it with protein and fiber to keep you satiated and not go insane. So instead of grabbing a granola bar on your way out the door, instead you could prep some Greek yogurt with fruit and nuts for some protein and added fiber. Add before you subtract. The bottom line are carbs are fuel, not the energy. Just choose them wisely. Number 4, the scale should go down every week. Does this sound familiar? You step on the scale Monday, you lose a pound. Tuesday, you're up 3 pounds. Wednesday, down. Reality check. Weight fluctuates due to water retention, stress, how much food is in your belly, sodium, hormones. That's why you usually weigh more on your period. But you also fluctuate randomly throughout the day too. Like before breakfast and after dinner, I'm like 3 to 5 pounds apart. It's just important to remember the difference between your body weight, which is literally just gravitational force on you, and body fat, okay? Fat loss though is not linear. That's why my clients weigh in daily and we look at their weekly averages, not their daily emotions. You should always be trending down overall, yes, but there's gonna be spikes going up and down. What matters is the consistent loss over time. In addition to the scale though, that's why it's so helpful to have progress photos, thinking about your strength gains and physical measurements, because judging fat loss by how your clothes fit better or muscle definition can help rather than just a number on the scale. But remember, the scale is a tool. It's not a life sentence. Don't let it control you. Just let it be the data that it is. Myth number 5, you can or can't build glutes while toning your abs. Yes and no, you can and you can't. So here's the deal. If you're new to lifting or if you're coming back from time off, your body is primed for muscle growth, because even if you're in a calorie deficit, you have what's called newbie gains. And it's why you see beginners building so much muscle without eating enough calories, or more calories really. Your body's a sponge. It soaks up all the gains it can from the workouts, and you're not gonna put on a ton of muscle, but you can still build while losing fat, which will shape your body in the process. Good and bad news, if you've been lifting for a while and your body has adapted, you're not going to see that significant growth while being in a deficit. Your muscles are already accustomed to the routine. So in order to grow, you need to fuel the growth with the right amount of calories. Shocker, eat, baby. That means eating at maintenance or even in a slight surplus, like 100 calories if you're worried about adding fat, and progressively pushing yourself in your training. You can't eat less and expect to build more, right? When you're at an intermediate or advanced level of lifting, focus on providing your muscles with the fuel that they actually need to grow, especially if you want to build that curvy hourglass physique with the be kind that could stop traffic. Don't we all? Speaking of glutes, you're gonna need to focus on a well-rounded program. We already touched on volume in this video, but here's a tip. I recommend mixing heavy sets of 6 to 8 reps with lighter sets of 12 to 15 reps to get maximum results. Do those on 2 different days. For the hourglass look, you gotta train your back. Sorry, not sorry. Doing movements like pull-ups or lat pull-downs or even bent over rows, they can help, and some shoulder exercises too, like lateral raises or overhead press, that can help too, because the more muscle you add to the top of your body, the smaller your waist will appear, creating that hourglass. Do you need to go through a cut and bulk phase? Not necessarily. It depends. Shocker. Some people prefer the cut and bulk approach, where again, the bulk is where you build muscle in a surplus and then you cut and lose fat in the deficit. But if you're more experienced, you can work towards building muscle while maintaining or slightly decreasing your body fat, so you don't have to go through the drastic cycles. It will just take a lot more time. The key is eating at maintenance or that slight surplus while lifting with enough intensity and being patient, okay? It will take time. Of course, when it comes to abs, they're there. They're just hiding under a protective layer of body fat. So instead of doing your 100 sit-ups a day challenge or whatever, stay sane and focus on your diet, especially staying in a calorie deficit. Train your abs 2 to 3 times per week with leg raises, weighted crunches, and add in some movements like strict press where you're standing, or an overhead kettlebell march that forces your core to work with a heavy weight overhead. Also, Do not skip cardio. I love cardio. 1 to 2 high intensity sprint sessions combined with 1 to 3 low intensity sessions is excellent. Like for your low intensity, 40 plus minutes of walking and your zone 2 heart rate. Google that. Building muscle can be long. It can take a while, but it's rewarding. Typically it's like a pound a month, and that's on the higher end for most people. On the flip side though, fat loss is typically a lot faster, and my clients typically lose around a pound a week. So you're probably going to lose body fat much faster than you'll gain muscle, especially if you're still pretty new to lifting. So while you're building muscle slowly, you'll also be dropping fat more quickly, revealing the glutes, the abs, the shoulders that you've been working on. However, here's the kicker. Training, diet, patience are your best friends in the process. Let's not rush this, okay? You can't rush through the fat loss phase and show up and then bulk up quickly. Like the bulk's usually a year, okay? Like smart training with progressive overload, eating enough, and sticking to something that's actually sustainable will help you finally get that hourglass shape that you've been working for. Slow and steady wins the race, okay? Don't expect to see drastic changes overnight. If I may say, if our goal is to grow the glutes, your body works like a chain. I get that you want a massive badonkey, but don't neglect your mobility or other parts of your body too. I did this in college. I neglected my calves and my hamstrings and only did quads and glutes, and I got a knee injury. Okay? Aesthetic goals are great, but no one's gonna see your juicy booty if it's sat in a wheelchair. All right? So just be mindful. Okay, quick recap. Stop starving yourself, lift weights, eat carbs, don't stress about the scale. It is possible to snatch your waist and build a butt with the right strategy and patience. If any of these myths had you in a chokehold, let me know in the comments. And if you want actual, straightforward, no BS scientific advice, hit that subscribe button. I got you. Now go eat something. You're welcome.